Hello, today I'm going to take you through step 2 of artifact processing in the lab. So the first thing, again, always we check that the FSN is what we're looking at. So 285 is on this one, and 285 is on this card. There's multiple screens of FSN 285, so we want to make sure we're sorting things into the same thing. And so rough sorting is what we're doing today. So we take this screen full of washed artifacts that are now dry, and then we want to sort them into whatever different categories they are. So I've got a tray that I'm putting pottery on, and then I've got a tray over here that I'm putting everything else on in separate piles. So I've got shell, I've got lithic, which is stone. Most of it has been worked, but some of it's just pebbles and things. And then I've got animal bone. And then I've got a pile up here of charred plant material. And then I have some historic artifacts. I have a piece of bottle glass and I have a little piece of rusted metal. And basically, I'm just going to go through this and I'm going to sort it all out. There's not a lot to talk about in the rough sorting, except that you can look at some of the different components of things that we're sorting and how to tell them apart. Because in addition to the pottery, we've got daub. And pottery and daub are both made out of clay and silt, and it gets fired, and so it's hard, and it's generally a brown or red color. But the key to pottery, at least in this Mississippian context that we're working in, is that pottery has temper in it. And especially in the Mississippian period, it's generally shell temper. And so all of the pottery has these little white speckles in it. And usually pottery also has two smooth sides where it's been made into some sort of vessel form. But not always, so that's not 100%. But if you see these little white speckles in your pottery, then you know that it's pottery and not daub. Whereas if I have like this piece of daub here, you can see that there's a little bit of shell on it from being in the screen, but I can wipe that right off. So this daub is a little bit looser. It has more silt in it than clay. And it also doesn't have any of those inclusions of those little white speckles, which is burned mussel shell that's been crushed up. And that's how you can really separate the pottery from the daub. And then the bone, you just have to look and see if you have animal bone. So bone is usually a little more porous than stone. And I mean, you've seen bones, you know kind of what a bone looks like, so you can generally recognize it. And the more you get to touch it in the lab and play with it, the more you can figure out what is what. Sometimes you have bone that's shiny like this, and it's a fish scale. So sometimes people get confused and think it might be shell or that it might be stone, but it's bone. It's just got some sheen on it. And sometimes you find animal teeth, and those are pretty recognizable. Everyone can pick out those. And sometimes you find bits of deer antler. And that might have been used to do some flint knapping, which is working the stone, but you can't tell this one's broken, so tough to say. And then again, all the shell, that's going to be white and shiny, so you can usually pick that out pretty easily. And that's it. I just go through tray after tray of this, everything from FSN 285, and sort it into my categories, and then the next step is then the actual analysis of each individual type of artifact, and we will go through that in another video. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later.